Hi everyone, this is Natasha, and I had shown you a haul recently of Martha Stewart molds that I had picked up from All My Crafts, and I said I would play around with them so I can do kind of a show and tell, because after just a couple of uses, it does not make me an expert, but I could certainly share with you what I have found either has worked for me or what I've encountered that maybe doesn't work. So there are two starter kits available. One is this heirloom starter kit that has 4 dies. It also has, here's everything that's included in that kit. It has the white clay and then the 4 basic colors that you can mix any other color with. The 4 molds, a couple of plastic tools for shaping, and these picks and some green tape. Now, one of my packages did not have the wire picks, and this is the second one, which is called Nature, and that has the cherry blossoms, bird, daisy, chrysanthemum, and large rose, whereas this one has a frame with photo corner, a cameo with a rose, a heart with filigree, a round frame with another corner, photo corner. So the kit comes with this clay, and it is really pliable, very easy to work with. Does have a slight odor, aroma. I wouldn't say odor, it's really an aroma. If you've played with Play-Doh, then you kind of expect to have a little bit of a scent. Very easy to work with. It does have a little texture to it where it feels as though it's been rubbed down with a little bit of oil, although you don't get oil residue on your hands. I think whatever chemical compounds are in this particular clay is what allows them to release easily from the molds. I did not have to use cornstarch or baby powder or anything else as a releasing agent from the molds. These are silicone molds, and this particular clay releases really easily. I also tried Sculpey, this Studio by Sculpey. This also works. This is an air dry, 24-hour air dry clay. This one you have to bake for 30 minutes at 300 or 175, 300 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. And I did try both those. I tried one more product which I'll show later, which I did not like in the molds. So this is very easy to work with. You just pull out however much you need. If you're using it in its original white state, you just, and that initial kind of greasy feeling or slick, it's really not greasy because you don't, as you could see, I have no grease on my fingertips. It's a slick feeling is what releases it from the mold. At least that's what I think it is. So you pull off however much you need, and if you're going to be coloring it up, one of the cool things that's included in the starter kits is this recipe guide for how much to use of the primary colors, which come in these smaller packages. So there's a yellow and blue and a red and brown. And they're really vivid. When it shows you to use just this much, you literally need to use just that much. So I did mix a couple of different colors just to try them out. I also used the plain white, so let me show you what the results are. So I used the plain white on these, and these have all dried. They're still pliable, as you can see. They don't crack. They're not stiff, but they definitely have the image transferred nicely. Just make sure you can see that. Focus. There you go. Putting a shiny object in front of your camera helps it focus. And this is the cameo. So as you can see, it's really nice, and it's really dimensional, but very lightweight. So if it's something that you're concerned about weight, like if you're adding it to a card, this is just the right medium. And this rectangular frame, very pretty. Okay, with a corner. And this could be colored. This turned out really, really cute. I'm really quite impressed with how well, hold on, see if I can focus. There we go. And then even this large rose, which is quite intricate, as you can see on the inside, really nicely. Pulls out very easily. And I'll show you in a minute. I'll do one. And I also, this might have been the trickiest one to do because it's the fern leaf and it's from one of the additional sets. It's not from one of the starter kits. It's relatively thin. As you could see, the way the mold is shaped, there's some shallower and some deeper areas. It's the shallower areas you always need to worry about because of the pliability of the clay. And you can see this is still pliable even though it's completely dry. And this one I mixed. So you can see there's the white in comparison, and I made it celadon green by adding some blue and yellow and then mixing it well. So I'm really impressed with how much detail is picked up and pulled out relatively easy. And then I also mixed some pink to make these cherry blossoms. Also really, really easy. Just follow the formula. And here's a small little sampling of some tiny little leaves. The rest, I actually used the Sculpey clay, which had to be baked. And I have them in individual Ziploc bags in order for them not to dry out. So the major differences between using the Martha Stewart clay, I just pop this back into the key is not to leave it open for too long because because it is air dry, it will dry out. Now these are bake clays. So you mold and then you unmold and then you have to bake them. But you do have to prep the clay. So although the Martha Stewart clay is really, really easy to use, this has to be worked with your fingers first to make it pliable enough to be pushed into the molds. So this takes a little bit of effort. So I did play around with this dolphin, the wasabi, and raspberry smoothie, these three colors. And this is the raspberry smoothie. And these look like ceiling medallions to me. They're really, really cute. But they could be centers of large flowers. There's all sorts of things you can use these for. Then I used, these are from the little butterfly right there. And these, again, are from the Sculpey, so they've been molded and then cooked for 30 minutes at 300 degrees. And then all of these are the flowers right here, the 3 different sizes. And I really love how these came out. Again, this is the clay that you have to knead and then bake after molding. But it's still relatively light. I know that if I had used the Martha Stewart stuff, it would definitely be lighter, but it would be pliable. These are stiff. You can't bend these. Well, I could totally break them if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Whereas this clay is pliable, so you could still move it. And this has to be baked. So what I think of the actual molds, I think they're easier to use than I had even anticipated. And let me put some of these aside, and I will show you with this little cupcake mold how easily they release. So I'm just going to move these all off to the side, get them out of my way so I can share with you that one. So I'm going to turn my light on, and the camera will adjust. There we go. I apologize for the dogs in advance. So you need a lot less clay than you ever think you would. So once you start working with it, you will absolutely realize how little you need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this white, and I'm going to see how much I need. As you can see, there's great detail in the frosting. There's even little holes, air holes, which is really cool. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see how much I need. That's good. All right, so here's another trick I found out through trial and error. I have this little spatula, which I think was a couple of dollars. It's a slice spatula, but essentially I know that this is a flat surface. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it at an angle and run it along the edges, making it, scraping off the axis, which I don't need because I want a flat back surface. And when it pulls out of the mold, I definitely don't want any of the little feathery pieces that go outside of the mold. So I also rub my finger gently towards the center from each edge. You want to see how easy it is? And the other thing that you could do, which I also did, is if you're not sure whether it's flat, see how it's a little bumpy? You could take another flat, hard surface and just press down, which makes the back even. So to unmold it, I have a clean surface here. I'm going to put my mold down, and this is where the little cupcake frosting is. I'm just going to peel up my silicone mold till it pops out. As you can see, it releases. Shiny, shiny. It releases, and you can even see the tiny little air bubbles that were in the cupcake frosting. So I'm going to set this aside, and I think I might do the cherry actually in this bright red, which you could see this is how little red I've used so far. I'm going to go in with this because it's a brilliant red. And again, it has the same, it doesn't really leave any color behind, but it has that same slick feel. I'm gonna, oh, I need a little more. And you don't really need, there's no need, N-E-E-D, to knead, you know, like bread, this clay, because it's already very pliable. But you definitely want to make sure, see, that's too much. So I'm going to gently rub. Oh, and this does transfer on the mold, I just noticed, because it's such a brilliant color. So I'm going to put the extra back in there. I don't know if you could see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap it down again. There's a little bit that is in the stem area, which I don't want. So I'm going to use a pokey tool to get it out. And again, I need to look at it to see it. And I could pop this out and do the leaf separately if I want. And I think this might be a little, that's a really, really red. So there's a little cherry. But obviously if I had had it with a stem, the stem would come out as well. And I don't have any green mixed in. So like, let me just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to knead the white and put it in the entire thing. Just move the red off. Pull off the extra so you can see. So there's the white in there. Let me see if I could do it sideways to show you how easy it is to unmold. So there's the little cherry. So now I can either trim off the leaf and color it, or just use the cherry separately, but there's that. And I'm going to do the cupcake bottom. I'm going to do that in the white as well, because I can, again, once it's all set up and it's 24-hour drying, do not heat set this because it warps the image. So if you have a fine detail image, it will absolutely melt away. I definitely don't need all of it, all of this. So you need a lot less than you ever think. So just take that and scrape the rest off. And then, and be careful if you have nails, because your nails can obviously leave trace. So there it is. So I have that, and I'm gonna set them aside. So cute. Set them aside to dry. Now what I have found that works really well, oh my gosh, they're so stinking cute, is if you let them air dry half the time on one side, then flip it over so it dries evenly both on the front and the back. Let's see if I can put this on the surface and bring it up closer to the camera. So it's literally that easy. So there you go. And then a little red one. I have a little bit of clay already out. Let me see if show you these. These are the Flourishes. And when you have items that are curvy like this, you can make a little snake out of your clay and then get it in that way. Or you could just take your finger and rub against the mold to make sure that you're getting good coverage so there's no air bubbles, and see all the extras come out that way. Or you can use my little metal technique. Again, you need a lot less than you would think you would. Let me get some of these extras out. And I think I have enough to make a little star, so there's that one. And I think what I want to do is squish it with a flat surface too. And then you essentially peel the mold away. So here's an intricate item, right? But you see it peels away. So I just kind of do this to make sure that there's nothing that's stuck, and then I unfold it to make sure I don't scrape it with my nails. And you see it came out a little folded, but because it's so pliable, it'll find its own level. So see, it's flattening out. So very pretty flourish. So there's that one, and I think I have a tiny little bit left to make a star. This is a 3-pack. And what I've done is all of the items that all of the designs that I have already tried, I've taken pictures of them and put them on my blog, and I'll include the link in the description because I think it helps to see. See, this one's there's a lot of thin surface, so you just want to make sure you press down first to fill the mold. And I think maybe this will be useful to have the metal spatula so you're not breaking any of the star tips off. Press down, fill it. It's kind of like using putty actually, especially on these smaller things. You see, I don't want any of that feathery stuff, so I'm going to rub that back onto itself. as much as possible, because it just leaves less for you to have to do once it's all set up. You can actually trim it once it is set up. So if you're cautious about, so here's one star. If you're cautious about taking away too much, you can let it set up, and then you can trim with a pair of sharp scissors any feathered extras. There you go. So here's some examples. If you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer if I can. If I cannot answer it, I can research it and get back to you. But I do like these. I find them much easier to use than I had anticipated. I just showed you two that I molded right on video. The frames are absolutely adorable. I'm a huge fan of the frames because they look like some competitors' products, ready-made embellishments, but this way you can make your own. So there you go. If you have any questions for me, leave me a comment. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.